carry, and then they took him off. Now, usually you take him out and you bring in A-Chain. You don't think anything of it. But, like, on 3rd and 1, even though A-Chain can run well between the tackles, if you're really serious about, hey, okay, this is a big play, we got to run it, I would think you're running Spiller right behind Layden Robinson and Kenyon Green. Instead, they're taking Devon A-Chain and running either right up the middle or left. And they got stuffed a couple times. Yeah.
I'll say this about the play calling because I saw some people upset with it, and I believe this is so disrespectful to Kent State, and I don't mean it towards Kent State. This is a practice for A&M.
Yeah.
They are working things out. They're seeing how certain plays work. They're letting Haynes figure things out. In a game that I think they were worried about, we would have seen them run the ball more with Spiller, by the way.
Mm-hmm. I
don't think it would be 20-10 or 20-9 at the half on passes to running rush attempts.
Right.
I don't believe that. I really believe the flow of the game feels different. And they could have done that against Kent State. They could have run the ball 35, 40 times early on and just. But what we know we can run the ball. The Aggies know they can run the ball on Kent State. They know that they can do that. It is working the other things out to get Haynes comfortable, to work some things out so when they do play Colorado next week and the week after and the week after and the week after before we get to Alabama, he is more comfortable seeing. And by the way, he was very composed throughout the whole game. I never felt that the moment was too big for him.
Yeah. He played well. I thought one of the interceptions was a really bad decision.
Yep.
One of them, he was trying to throw, I think, to Chase Lane, and he's got to be more accurate. But I think Jaden Weidemeyer thought it was for him, and he reached up and tipped it, and it became an interception because the ball wasn't for him. But, of course, Jalen doesn't know that. So, I mean, that's just a unfortunate thing. And then I think another one was tipped at the line of scrimmage. So sometimes you give the defense actually credit for making a good play, but he's got to be aware of that. I've got to get the ball higher.
Got to get the ball higher. Yeah. But again, and I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses for the Aggies, but some of those little mistakes that seem costly, if they score on 2/3 of those early miscues, game's not even close at the half. We're not talking. They were in scoring range with the first interception, with the 4th and 1 that didn't go there. They were all within 3 points or 7 points of making it a blowout at the half.
But they could have scored 60
easily
if they would have said, "Okay, we realize where we got the advantage. We're just going to hammer that." And I think and then you don't. I guess they're saying if you don't turn it over, if on 3rd and 1, you're going behind your two big guys, your two more experienced guys, and those kind of things.
So teams across the country struggled out the gate, and we're talking teams that have national championship aspirations, people who are picking teams. Oklahoma is some people's pick to win the national championship. I'm not going to grade them totally on the Tulane game, but they don't look like a team that is ready for a college football playoff run. Ohio State was down at the half to Minnesota. They turned it around.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota's a nice little squad. C.J. Stroud, I believe, was able to adjust there. Virginia Tech takes down North Carolina, number 10 team in the country. All right.
Yeah.
North Carolina, now they've got a bullseye. They had a great year. People were thinking about them, and they weren't ready for that game. Iowa State barely over Northern Iowa. Oregon beats Fresno State by a touchdown. You got Montana over Washington. And then last night, and I don't know, look, I think Florida State's better than people thought. From what I saw yesterday, they are an exciting team. Notre Dame had to go to OT against Florida State.
I'm not sure what I think about that. I'm not sure if I think, hey, Florida State is going to be pretty good this year, or if I'm thinking, man, Notre Dame is taking a step back. But I'm not sure.
But to me, in that game, I was impressed by Florida State. I was in that game. The comeback, obviously beyond the made for TV movie that they have there with Milton, the quarterback. But regardless, we're talking about a bunch of teams that are either top 25 team or teams that made the college football playoffs last year, struggling, not getting the style points The only team that got the style points, or the biggest team that got the style points, was Alabama, and how methodical they were from the very first play of that game against Miami.
And see, I think there's two things working in there, or three things. First of all, Alabama's going to be good, like we always know they are.
Yep.
Secondly, I don't think Miami's very good. I think we saw that last year at the end of the year. You know, they were the emperor with no clothes, and I don't think they put on any clothes since. And then lastly, Alabama, because Miami was ranked 14th and because maybe they had gotten better, had to approach that game as a game, okay, we got to win.
Right.
Instead of, like you said, a game that we experiment and kind of practice and see, work on ourselves. I don't know who Alabama has next, but I'm pretty sure it's Nobody University. And that's their game that they can just experiment with.
Let's do a fake experiment right here. If you did not watch the game on Saturday and I gave you a box score, all right, for all these college football writers and voters around the country, and you saw A&M beat Kent State 41-10, would you be like, oh, okay, that's kind of what I expected? Yeah. Or would you be like, they underperformed?
No, I'd say it's kind of what I expected. In fact, in our pregame show, my predicted score was 48-14. So, barely missed that. But it was kind of in the ballpark of what I expected. The first half, an opponent can play above its head for a while on emotion. The second half, usually you start taking control, which A&M did, as you said, except they didn't finish. And in the third half, you pull away, and third quarter you pull away. And
so you only give up 10 points in a game where you lost a turnover battle. 5 turnovers, and I counted as 6 because I considered the 4th and 1 like a turnover, okay? You only give up 10 points to a team that can move the ball, who has a quarterback that's highly regarded in college football, who has some pro aspirations out there. It's not bad. Not bad. Sorry, not bad at all.
No, I think everybody would have been really impressed with the defense if it just wasn't for the giving up some of the long runs. At 200, they gave up more rushing yards in that game than they did, I think, of any game last year.
Sure.
So if Kent State would have had more success throwing the ball, I think you could have accepted that more because they were known as a team that throws the ball.
I'll get into this a little bit more later, but to me, when it came time to knock out Kent State, they did it in like 90 seconds. It was over. It was not like it was bam, bam, good night. Sorry for yelling there. I haven't said hello to the people. People listening, hello. But Dalton, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Happy Labor Day.
Yeah.
Is that what people say?
I guess. I don't know. We're here laboring away, I guess.
You have a good weekend, sir?
Working weekend. I guess if you want to call that good, that's what it would be.
For those driving around, listening, catching up with us later on podcast, we have released a lot of content. Dalton, help me go through it. We've got Luchador, which is a podcast that Billy and I do on Sundays, breaking down the game, an extensive view of the game. Billy will be here in studio, but we got that. We had our post-game show, which was pretty much immediately after the game ended. Brandon Leone, Chris Taylor, and Liucci called in on that one as well. And Luch had his NIL stuff going on yesterday.
Yeah, Billy sat down with probably combined about an hour with DeMarvin Leal and Jalen Weidemeyer, all on TexAgs.com.
Yeah, good stuff there. All right, when we come back, I want to get into the turnovers of the game, the good and the bad. And what I mean by that, OB, is Leon O'Neal. He certainly turned it on. He woke us up, as we said, on Saturday night. And also, we'll get a little bit more into the Haynes King turnovers as well. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
You're listening to Aggieland's Home for Sports. The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Hello, St. Joseph Eagles fans. Listen to St. Joseph Eagles football throughout the season on KEDC 88.5 FM. St. Joseph Eagles football is brought to you this season by these local businesses: Jason Bainski Realtor, Lone Star Roof Systems, Law Office of Jeff Paradowski, Kraus Paint and Body, Wings and More, Blinn College, and Serve Pro of the Brazos Valley. Listen to St. Joseph Eagles football on KEDC 88.5 FM. Special thanks to all of our St. Joseph Eagle football sponsors.
For nearly 2 decades, TexAgs has been the #1 Aggie sports group online, and thanks to that passionate community, we've been able to grow it into so much more. TexAgs is now an industry-leading media company that covers Aggie football, basketball, baseball, and recruiting like nobody else. Our staff of over 30 consistently delivers in-depth analysis, X's and O's, award-winning video content, and the most reliable insider information you can find. So if you love the Ags, come check us out. Become a premium subscriber at texags.com/subscribe.
Bryan Broadcasting is your home for high school football. Bryan High, A&M Consolidated, Rudder, and College Station High play on the Bryan Broadcasting family of stations. No matter where you are, hear every play, every game, all season long. Thanks to A&B, Blinn College, BCS Toyota, and Ed Phillips Plumbing. To find out when and where to hear your favorite team, go to brazosfootball.com.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
On Sports Talk, Chip tells Kirk Herbstreit he would volunteer to be the commissioner of college football.
I could be the college football czar. I would be tough but fair.
I love it. Let's do it. You know, as long as it's one voice, sounds like talking to you. You'd be a great candidate.
Sports Talk, leading the way since 1994. Weekdays from 4 to 6 on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
That just goes back to what I had said in the previous question. You know, I just got to play smarter. I'm not able to make silly mistakes like that, especially as a veteran. I had to just come out and, you know, be a smarter football player and really just hone in onto the situation. Like, that wasn't a situation for me to even go out and try to return it. So just got to play smarter.
Shoes. Anaya Smith there, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, OB. Silly mistakes is, so when you saw that play, I think you were on the field at that point. Am I correct about that?
With Anais?
Yes.
Yes.
You were on the field. What did you think initially?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
He did it last year too. And it ended up being a safety in the first game against Vanderbilt. I'm like, you know, he's a supremely confident guy. And he's a really good football player. And, you know, I'm old school, though. Line up at the 10. If you have to take a step back, just let it go, right? But I just think it was a bad idea. And I think he realized it during the process. Oh, I'm not, you know.
It's one of those, uh-oh.
And then he tried to pull away, but, you know, got hit with the ball. So just to me, that's one that should never happen. It's that basic. Line up at the 10. If you have to take a step back, just let it go.
Right.
Why? But I'm not a guy with the ability to catch the ball over my shoulder and dodge somebody and then turn into a big play. And so when you have that ability, I think the first thing that probably comes to his mind is, okay, let me get the ball, let me make a play.
Yeah. One of those, though, it's also risk versus reward that we talk about a lot. Like, what good is going to come out of that? At that point, I think there was another point scored after that, right? That was it.
At that point, I think everybody who had taken A&M and given the points were like, what are you doing?
Right.
And they got fortunate, but, you know, yeah, the game's in, you know, I mean, it's on ice. Of course, maybe, though, if it was a close game, maybe Nice wouldn't even, would have been more thinking more and then say, nah, I got to let it go.
Because they're up by 31, I just make a play. Maybe I get an extra.
I don't have
yards.
any money on the game.
Right. They're not thinking about that. So the big storyline in this game were the turnovers. A&M's 5, but they were able to force turnovers as well. So we'll start off with the positives of it. Leon O'Neal, beyond being a guy that I've talked about since I got here, how much I just like his personality, the way he goes about work, the way he works, he posts his videos, makes me want to go work out. Beyond all that, goodness gracious, when it felt like we may have a tie game at the half, who's there?
Leon O'Neal with the interception in the end zone.
When the second half starts and you're thinking, dude, this could go south. And I knew it wasn't, but you still had that thought, like, who's there?
Leon O'Neal.
And he went to the house, my friend. It's amazing what a turnover or a big play can do for, obviously, the stadium, but for the teammates around them.
Yeah, it was. He literally woke them up. I bet you he's going to sell some Wake 'em Up 9.
He better be on that right now
because he woke them up. He made that play, stepped in front of. I can't remember. I couldn't tell who they were throwing to because from up there, you can't pick out those gold numbers on a white jersey. But he stepped in front of whoever he was throwing to, and just made a heck of a play. And then those. I know he had DeMarvin Leal out in front of him, so I don't know how hard I would try to make that tackle if I was on Kent State. But Leon, his detractors all say that he's slow. Well, he didn't.
He wasn't slow on that play.
Nobody was catching from behind. So that was just. Well, it was to me. It was obviously the play of the game, was it not?
Oh, it's the whole. And at that point, that's how you go to blowout mode. It's a close game. He makes that play. Kent State is shook. A&M is like, we're back. People on the sidelines going crazy. And then it was just cruise control from that point because you got the A-chain touchdown. It just changed. The big plays changed the complexity of a game. And I wasn't here last year, but remind me, they didn't do very well forcing turnovers last year, right?
They didn't. I don't have that number in front of me. They had some. It wasn't an enormous amount. I think they might have done better than they did the previous year.
Right.
But yeah, and Leon led the. Well, Leon, I'll put it this way: Leon led the team with interceptions last year with 2, and he had 2 last night or the other night.
And then people jumped on me for pointing out that Kellen Mond had 3 turnovers last year, or was it 2, 3 last year?
He had 3
last year,
last year,
and then Haynes had 3. But to me, it shows 2 things. A, sometimes Kellen was underappreciated, and also Kellen didn't take the chances that Haynes took Saturday. Haynes took some chances. He went downfield.
He doesn't mind throwing deep.
He doesn't mind throwing to the middle of the field, doesn't mind throwing deep, and sometimes he put a little bit too much mustard on those throws.
Again, I know I'm just repeating myself, and you know all this, but first game, think of what's going through the kid's mind. He's probably really amped up. I don't want to make excuses for him, but at the same time, I'm not going to be critical of a kid that throws for about 300 yards and 2 touchdowns because he had 3 interceptions in his very first collegiate start.
Yep.
Now, if become throwing 3 interceptions becomes somewhat typical, then you've got to decide that okay, we got a problem here. But in your first start, no, I don't. It's just something to learn from.
Looking at the A&M stats from last year, looks like they forced 12 turnovers, and Leon O'Neal, as you told me, had 2 last year. And I'm trying to see if anybody else. Nope, that's about it. Everybody else, there was quite a few with 1. Buddy had 1. You have Miles Jones with 1, DeMarvin with 1, Damani with 1, Andre White with 1, Jalen Jones with 1. And Keldrick Harper with 1. So, and there's 1 more. Brian George had 1 as well.
Brian George had 1 against Tennessee, I believe. I remember he had 1 against North Carolina that got over that was nullified by a penalty. So did Leon had 1 against Florida that was nullified by a penalty. I remember the Andre White one against North Carolina.
Yeah. See,
Carper was against South Carolina.
Look at that. Your recall's fantastic.
Well, there's not that many you have to remember.
Well, this is true. The other thing I was going to bring up about Leon, the ball don't lie statement really was in full effect on that play because just a minute earlier, they gave him the targeting call, which was later rescinded, and the what was the other call they gave him? It was late hit. I think was it late hit? I think they
and
gave
it wasn't
him.
out of bounds.
It wasn't out of bounds. So really bad calls.
The officials were terrible.
They and Jimbo let people know about
they seemed like they were completely disorganized.
So it was preseason for them too. Goodness,
I don't know where those guys came from.
But to me, I'm like, how do you? I kind of can make an argument for why you do the targeting, even though I disagree with it, because if you don't call it, you can't go back, and you call it, take it off. Okay, I don't like that call.
But they can.
You can take the targeting away without reviewing?
No, they can up and say, hey, we're going to look at this, see if they were targeting. They'll stop the game and say, oh.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm okay with sometimes calling targeting because you can go review it, right?
What I'm saying is they don't have to call it on the field.
Oh, I see
for
what you're
them
saying.
to look
Gotcha,
at it
gotcha.
and
Okay.
decide whether it's targeting.
Gotcha. So why call it then in that case?
I don't understand why you don't call anything unless you see it.
See
now,
it.
sometimes I guess maybe you think you do. But I think anytime there's a good hit, they throw a flag now. But
well, and I don't understand how you call a late hit when somebody's in bounds. If you just had a bad moment, I mean, how does that happen?
Right.
I mean, it was clearly in bounds.
And there was a face mask call on DeMarvin Leal.
Right.
That it was hard to see from where I was, but I know that a lot of fans were saying that they thought it was bogus. I don't know.
Was that on the sack?
I think so.
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't on him on the sack. Maybe his was later. All those notes are starting to come together. All right, guys, a moment now for the Association of Former Students. They are the oldest in organization serving the Aggie Network. They've been around for over 140 years. Such great work out there. They are here. They are there. They are everywhere for Texas A&M and all Texas Aggies everywhere. 125,000 to student organizations. You've got the Disability Awareness Educational Programming, the Warrior Scholar Project as well. How about $12,000 have been given to live streaming of music activities and concerts? None of that is possible without your help. I mean, you and your gifts to the Aggie Network go such a long, long way. For $100 a year, about $9 a month. I think you can come up with $9, guys. You get the decal, you get the plaque, you get the Texas Aggie magazine, plus you're continuing in the oldest, most inspiring tradition of Aggies helping other Aggies. To learn more about the impact of the association or get involved, make a gift, visit aggienetwork.com/giving.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. Registration is now open for nonprofits wanting to participate in this year's Brazos Valley Gives event. Register at brazosvalleygives.org. You're invited to the inaugural I Love America Fall Festival, Saturday, September 11th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Santa's Wonderland. Visit ila-ff.org for more information. Grief Share, a special help seminar and support group for people experiencing grief and loss, will be held on Sundays at Peace Lutheran Church starting September 12th. For more information, call 693-4403. BCS Habitat for Humanity is hosting its annual Tees for Keys golf tournament Monday, September 13th at the Traditions Club. Tickets are online at habitatbcs.org. Start your Colorado game day this Saturday at 11:30 here on The Zone with a Twin Peaks pregame show powered by TexAgs.com. Join Dusty and Louie as they get you ready for the Aggies and the Buffaloes. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Howdy, y'all. This is Cullen Gillespie, former 12th man. I've always tried to help my team on and off the field. And now I'd like to help Texas A&M fans like you cut their electricity bills in half. Yep, in half. It takes less than 5 minutes and you'll save hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars every year. 90% of Texans overpay for electricity, so don't be one of them. Sign up today at energyogre.com and use code GILLY, G-I-L-L-Y, for a free month of service.
If you own construction equipment and need custom hydraulic hoses, get 10% off at WPI. WPI also has the best price in town for DEF at $8.50 for 2.5 gallons. Regardless of your machine's make or model, WPI can help. From O-rings and teeth, buckets and blades, any part for every brand of equipment is at your local WPI. Visit Jesse James at WPI's new location in Bryan, Highway 21 East at Marino Road, or click WPI.com.
The 15th Annual Fall Wedding Show and Benefit is Sunday, September 19th at the Brazos County Expo Complex. Meet local event professionals offering everything you'll need to plan your wedding. Tickets are $20 at the door or $15 in advance online now at WABV.org. You won't want to miss meeting local wedding professionals or the chance to win a $1,000 gift certificate valid at any Wedding Association member. Get your tickets now for the 15th Annual Fall Wedding Show and Benefit at WABV.org.
You can hear Astros baseball on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, plus Gospel 97.3 FM. Astros baseball on Bryan Broadcasting is brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer. Listen in as the Astros contend for the AL West title. Listen in as the Astros battle for the best record in the American League. Listen in as the Astros contend for another World Series title. Astros baseball on the Zone and Gospel 97.3 FM is brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer and in part by First Financial Bank.
Haynes throwing 33 passes. Did you come in wanting in the game plan to give him a lot of work?
We're going to be a balanced team. We're coming to sling it. We ain't coming there to run it. We're going to make big plays. We got guys and get it down the field, and we got to be able to throw the football, and we got to be able to run the football. And I was very proud. Like I said, what I was happy about with him in the game, we had some mistakes right there, and the ball turned over. His mentality didn't change. He stayed right in the game, making decisions, making calls, going right at it. And that was, for a young guy, sometimes that gets very tough, especially when you first start, and really made some nice plays. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to sling the ball.
I love that. I love that bite so much. It's Jimbo Fisher, obviously, Saturday evening. We're going to sling it. We're going to throw it. We've got the playmakers to do it. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I want to talk about that cut here in a minute, OB, but just a quick programming update. Liucci will be joining us at 9 o'clock. We'll do Hey Luch at 9:35. Peter Burns joining us at 10:35. That is brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans. So we've got all that on the agenda. Plus, I didn't ever give out our topic because we went straight into the heavy analysis here. But my question, and we'll do it this segment here, what grade do you give the Aggies after their Week 1 performance? I'm talking like, let's give them a letter grade, how you feel they did overall. And before we answer that, I'll just tell you, I grade on a curve based on the situation. That's how I grade, okay? So, back to the commentary. After the offseason.
Well, I just want to say, should I start referring to Haynes as after that soundbite, as the king of sling?
The king of, trademark, do it.
The king of sling.
The king of sling.
Okay.
So, after an offseason, we hear that A&M hasn't evolved, and A&M isn't high tempo, and A&M isn't throwing down the field, and yada, yada, yada. To hear that bite where he says he's not changing the identity of A&M. They're still going to run the ball. They're still going to be a very balanced team. But to hear it, we're going to sling it. What did it mean to you?
Well, I think it means that they have players that they feel like that they can throw deep with, and they did. I mean, they didn't connect them all. I remember he threw deep to Jalen Watermeyer. Was overthrown. He had, I don't know if you call it a deep pass. It would have been a 31-yard touchdown, I think, but Anias dropped it.
Yep.
But he had one deep pass for about 53 yards to Chapman, and another one that might have been pass interference. They didn't call it, but it might have been. Could have been. It seems like there was another deep one too, 20-something yards. Anyway, I guess it was to Anias. So I think what he's saying is that this is the way he plays football.
Yep.
It's last year, we've said it before. You know, people forget that last year A&M lost at different times the three guys that were projected to be their starting receivers entering the season.
Yep.
You know, Osborne and Cameron Buckley and then Chapman. So the three, you know, so the smart way to play football was to run and control the ball and, you know, play action. And that's what they did. But it doesn't mean that that's what he's always going to do. He's going to do what's the best way to win. And he has some guys now that they can throw down the field, and he has a quarterback that's comfortable throwing down the field. So he's going to sling it with the king of sling.
King of sling. You need to bring that up at the press conference today.
I don't think I will.
Jimbo, what are your thoughts on the new name I've come up with, the king of sling?
He'd probably just shake his head.
He'd laugh.
Shake his head. No.
He'd play along, I think. Hey, so let's give the team a grade here and why. When you look at A&M's performance on Saturday, and again, I told you my parameters. I'm going to grade on a curve based on a couple of criteria that I'll mention here in a moment. What do you give them?
B.
B.
B. I'm teetering on giving them a B minus. 5 turnovers, even no matter what the situation, is unacceptable. They should not be running the ball. No matter what the situation is, whether it's quarterback scrambling, 200-something yards rushing was, like Leon O'Neal said, unacceptable. And when you got a 1 yard to go at the opponent's 22, you got to pick that up. You got 2 shots at it, didn't get it. So there are things to mark off. But at the same time, they scored 41 points, won by 31. So it's not like you're going to want to be too critical.
I look at the third quarter as the reason they're in the B, right? That third quarter, they turned it on for me. I give them a B minus. That third quarter where they forced the punt, the pick six, they dominated. They strangled them. That's where I give them credit for, obviously. They won by 31 points. You got to give them credit for that. Where I struggle with is the same things you brought up. You can't have they could have gotten an F based on the turnovers. And when you keep a team that believes in a game long enough, they start to really believe and things can change real quick, right? The turnovers, the way that Kent State was able to run the ball, all those reasons brings them down to a B minus. But again, if we're talking about that same kind of performance 3 weeks from now, that's an F. That's why I'm grading on a curve. I'm grading that based on week 1, redshirt freshman quarterback making his first start, slinging it on purpose by design, game plan. Like we're not privy to read what the game plan was going in. Jimbo, I'm assuming in the game plan, they're like, we're gonna throw the ball. We're gonna see what this kid can do in these situations, and then when we have to take control, we'll take control, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, you called it again without meaning to be disrespectful to Kent State. It was a practice, and want to see what we can do. Want to see, if we can make this connection against this defense, or it's work.
Yeah.
They could have come out and just said, "Hey, we're going to run it to Isaiah Spiller 30 times and win this game by whatever we want."
So I thought about this really dumb comparison. So work with me here. I'm not saying that the Aggies are the dream team, but in 1992, the dream team took on, in practice, a bunch of the college kids, okay? And the college kids beat them in one of these practices, I saw this in a documentary, and they beat them, okay? Because for those college kids, this is the biggest moment in their life. And I forget who was on. These are some people who eventually became pros, right? But they either beat them or was close, but it was, the Jordans of the world were not happy. And they came back the next time and pummeled Bobby Hurley and the rest of those guys by like 60 points, and because they took it serious. When you're the practice team, and I'm sorry, Kent State, you're the practice team for Texas A&M, this is your Super Bowl. This is your big moment. You're going to come at it, and while we're working on things, you're trying to win a football game. And that's exactly what happened. When A&M in the third quarter decided to say, all right, we're done playing with the kids, what do? They put them to sleep, baby. Yeah. Leon O'Neal woke us up and put them to sleep.
Yeah, but, but they're looking at turning that into what, 13-10.
Yep.
If Leon doesn't make that play. And it's – I don't think I ever not once thought A&M might actually lose the game.
No.
But what's going through my mind is whether we want to acknowledge it or not, style points do matter for certain teams. For certain teams, they don't. I remember last year, Kirk Herbstreit was making excuses for Oklahoma losing early to Kansas State and somebody else. Iowa State, I don't know who, and was saying, but now they're a better team. A&M doesn't get that, right?
Because now A&M was a better team.
Right, but so for whatever reason, again, I've talked about the CAS system. A&M needs what I'm thinking of, A&M's going to win this game, but if they don't do something, it's going to be one of those games, one of those wins that's going to look ugly and will always be haunting them the rest of the year as they try to go into the playoff. And it'll be, if they're in a similar situation like last year, it would have been something to hold against them. Well, they only beat Kent State by a touchdown. And, but, like you said, they decided Leon woke them up and
so can it still be held against them, even though it was a 31-point?
I don't think you'll hold a 31-point win against somebody.
Even though in the moment it felt just, it's kind of like the North Carolina game. The North Carolina game, to me, there was a moment that game was close.
Yeah,
and then it wasn't.
At the bottom line is there's a whole lot of people that are involved in this stuff that really doesn't watch it. And I'm even talking about guys on the committee. All they're going to see is a 31-point win.
Yeah.
And now what you do is you hope Kent State turns out to be as good as they're supposed to be in the MAC. They're favored to win their division.
Yep.
So, you hope they win their division. You hope they win the MAC championship.
Yeah, and again, and Billy put this in his piece. We didn't know that Vanderbilt was going to be as atrocious as they were. And if you look at one game, you can be like, but it's where you grow from. I'm going to read this text message coming in. How many people have 9 million reasons for A&M to perform? As best as I can tell, a sum of total of 1. Let's watch the man work because none of our flailing and wailing and gnashing of teeth is going to make a difference. Let's not go down the Texas Longhorn if trail. None of the ifs happened. We kicked butt, and it's just Monday. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. On a 3-hour talk show, we're going to break down the good, the bad, the ugly. And I'm here to say we won by 31 points. A lot to be happy about and a lot to clean up because against the teams moving forward, you can't really do those. Do they beat Colorado with 5 turnovers?
Maybe, because I don't think Colorado is very good.
Maybe, though.
But it's more maybe, depends on where they are. You're not going to win.
Arkansas? Do you beat Arkansas with 5 turnovers?
Probably not. Ole Miss didn't.
Right.
Probably not. You get into the SEC, you get 5 turnovers, you're done. You're done.
Yeah. And that's it. And those teams, I'm assuming, create more turnovers than Kent State does. So, again, some of them self-inflicted, just a mental mistake here or there, a tip of the finger. If that pass to Jalen Watermeyer is not tipped, let's just say it's a quarter inch the other way. I don't know if it's a touchdown or not. I don't know if it's incompletion or not. But let's just say they get 3 points out of that. They get 7 points out of that. Again, we're looking at halftime completely different than the way we were looking at it at 10-3.
Oh, absolutely. Again, when they had to settle for 3, one of your best players, Anaya Smith, drops the ball.
Yep.
I think he's going to catch it, and I think that's why he dropped it because he was going to have to do some of the dazzling things he does, but I think he would have caught it, made his move, and it's a touchdown. And I think that's what he was thinking. What's concerning about that is, Anias, as good as he is, and he's a great player, but he does have a tendency to, or he's showing that tendency to take his eye off the ball because in that situation, I'm going back to the Alabama game, going across the middle, there's the ball, but I'm thinking touchdown before I've got the ball.
And that happens. All right, we'll close it down here on the first hour of the show, the Go Hour. But right now, a moment for Dr. Troy Elms and Dr. Jeremy Stewart, Elms Orthodontics on the bypass in College Station. And some of you got to meet my twin boys that were here on Saturday at the TexAgs tailgate, and Uncle Donnie was taking them around everywhere. And that's a story for another day. But that being said, they had their braces on, they had their smiles on. People were my kids enjoyed meeting a bunch of the listeners out there, and we appreciate that. But they had to get braces back in January. They had some crowding. They had to get it done. And it's making a big difference in their confidence out there. And there's a guy in town, there's 2 guys in town that are just doing knockout work, Troy Elms and Dr. Jeremy Stewart. They've got, they're board certified. They're mainstays in the community. I think I've told you in the past, Troy Elms, class of 86. mainstay in the community, best of the Brazos winner, platinum level Invisalign provider, and Dr. Stewart, class of 03. They are just an incredible 1-2 punch out there, and they do it, and they do great work, and people go there. They're so satisfied, and the confidence afterwards is just on a different level. Check them out for a free consultation, 1501 Emerald Parkway in College Station. The phone number for Elms Orthodontics, 979-693-6300, or learn more online at drelms.com.
You're listening to The Zone. Aggieland's all sports station.
Are your devices sucking your brains out through your eyeballs? Then engage your mind and refresh your soul and head over to Spirit Ice Arena. Whether you're a newcomer or a seasoned vet, there's something for everyone. From figure skating to league hockey to public skating that's open to everyone, Spirit Ice Arena has something for the whole family. Don't worry about being a little shaky on the ice. Use our Big Blue Assistant to keep you steady. Get out of the house and get on over. We are waiting for you at Spirit Ice Arena. For more info, go to spiritice.com.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
It's not every day you can save money. Oh, wait, you can. Hi, Jenny here from Big Deals. When you shop Big Deals, you'll save money every day on dozens of gift certificates from local businesses like these.
Kalachi Rolfs, painting with a twist, B&B Automotive, Front Street Burgers, and more. Visit AggielandBigDeals.com to save big. AggielandBigDeals.com.
Howdy, Ags. This is Dr. Krishna Shanmugam from BCS Eye Associates. I'm a fellowship-trained cornea and glaucoma specialist and eye surgeon, but most importantly, fighting Texas Aggie class of 2007. I was born in Aggie, raised in Aggie, and now back in the Brazos Valley to serve Aggieland, the incredible place that made me the person that I am today. We're the only fellowship-trained glaucoma, cornea, and cataract surgeon in town, and would be delighted to take care of you locally for your eye exam and your eye surgery needs. Give us a call to schedule an appointment today with Dr. K at BCS Eye Associates at 979-701-2020 or visit mybcsi.com.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place? You know, that spot that only you know about? And instead of what you came for, you found something a little different. What if instead of your private stash, you found a simple phone number, 1-800-662-HELP? What would you do? Would you stop and give it some thought? Would you make the call? The truth is, all drug use comes with risk. Before those risks become real, before drugs turn your life upside down, before drugs take their toll on you and your family, know that there is help. You can quit. If you or someone you love is struggling with drug use or prescription drug misuse, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/thereishelp.
The Bellucci Hour is back. It is back at the top every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Join Billy Liucci of TexAgs, TexAgs.com, TexAgs Radio, and the Liucci Cast, along with Zach Taylor, the Infomaniac, and Sports Director of Brian Broadcasting. Monday, Thursday, 6 p.m. It's the Bellucci Hour, happy hour, and it's all thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Let the Bellucci Hour get you ready for Aggie Football 2021.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Rollo Insurance is the official provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. Rollo can write down any form of insurance to anyone in Texas and several other states as well. And they've got 30 offices over the state. The headquarters on Highway 6 right here in College Station. Call 888-44-ROLLO or go to rolloinsurance.com. All right, so we'll get to the BCSI hotline here in a moment. And the AMB text line, that number, by the way, 979-693-1150. OB, I read a couple of these. Let's respond to them. David in College Station says, Haynes played exactly the way Jimbo tries to teach everyone to play during the first possession. What I mean is he was completely focused and, in my opinion, had no idea what else was going on around him except for what he was taught to do. An example of this is in the movie with Kevin Costner called The Love of the Game, when he's about to pitch and he hears everyone around him, but then he subconsciously says, clear the mechanism, and boom, everything goes gone except for what he needs to get done and the battery out. This was Haynes during that first possession. 6 of 6, 5 different receivers. He brought it, OB.
Oh, I thought he was spectacular in that first one. I mean, what else? I called him, King Midas in that first one. Everything he did was turn to gold. Actually, in the second one, too, again, that's when they had the drop. But I'm sure that they had scripted those plays.
Yep.
And he knew every play that was going to be called before then. And he gave you a taste of what he can be.
By the way, Bayou Ag flew in the game for the game, returned to Tallahassee. He says, I give the team a B-. Can't wait to see next week's improvements. Beware, Buffs, because we're coming with bad intentions. That would be a great way to go. Like, just go up 45-0, call it a day.
Yeah, because the last time I was there in 95, it didn't go so well. Or 2005, it didn't go so well.
Right. I'll give another one here. Dave in Temple. The replay on the TV didn't show what happened before Leon's TD. He was walking around 20 yards or more deep in the secondary, waving his arms around in the crowd. I thought, wow, he better start paying attention. And then they lined up and started to come quick. He then turned quickly his attention to the game, and the play call 4 seconds later, ball in his hands.
He's a playmaker. For good and bad, he's a playmaker. As I said, he's been criticized for certain things, but the guy just goes out and makes plays.
Yeah, and I'm going to remind people, not having Clemens out there, not having McKinley Jackson out there, it does make a difference.
Oh, I think so.
You brought it up with the wide receivers last year, where 3 of them were not really able to go. That hurts your depth. It's great for the young players to get some action, right, for later on. But when we're talking about the refined, finished product, it's not going to be the same thing.
No, I mean, it's not. And I think, you saw what I think I'm most concerned about is the linebacker play. Not that it was bad, not saying that, but, boy, you're really trying to replace a lot of production there with a guy who's, in his second year as a starter.
Yep.
Came here as the tight end and, freshman. I think it was Edgerrin Cooper that started linebacker the other day.
Buddy, it was a good first hour. Thank you so much.
All right.
We've got Jimbo coming up here shortly.
Yeah, we're going to be heading over there, doing the weekly press conference.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot to talk about.
There will be. That is Olin Buchanan. The Go Hour is done. When we come back, Billy Liucci will be joining us here, I believe, in studio. Talk about the launching point column that he had just last night. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
People join Walk MS to raise awareness and funds that change the world for everyone affected by multiple sclerosis. MS attacks the brain and spinal cord. It's the most common neurological disease leading to disability in young adults. Walk MS brings communities together, creating teams with friends, loved ones, and workers to rally around those we care about and end MS forever. Join us. Together we are stronger. Walk MS fundraising accelerates research breakthroughs and life-changing breakthroughs. It will take all of our passion, determination, and fundraising to end MS forever. Together, we can change the world for people with MS. Join us. Register today, start a team, and raise funds at walkms.org.
Date on the Zone. Action during the Texas A&M System Board of Regents quarterly meeting included the annual approval of the 5-year capital improvement plan. The system's chief financial officer, Billy Hamilton, was surprised to discover 41% of the projects involved deferred maintenance.
We are constructing fewer buildings. 14 of the 27 projects are deferred maintenance. And, there's a huge amount of capital inventory out there, and it needs continuous work.
Hamilton says the flagship campus has 800 buildings, and requested projects include renovating the Doherty building, dormitory improvements, and utility upgrades. Former Brazos County District Judge Steve Smith has been sworn in as a justice on the Texas 10th Court of Appeals.
I said somewhat jokingly that whenever I'm not wearing the black dress, my name's Steve.
The justice says the name game is hard on lawyers, which he understands.
I've always told them that the judge part, it's not about me, it's about the position. It's about honoring the position, not honoring me.
Smith, who is the second Brazos County judge to serve in the 98-year history of the appeals court, will be splitting his time between his official office in Waco and a small office at the Brazos County Courthouse. Now on display at the Mounts and Carnegie Libraries in downtown Bryan is a new collection of historical items from Bryan's history. Communications and Marketing Manager Kristen Wagner says items were donated by libraries, museums, and private residents.
It's going to be an interactive exhibit that we've got QR codes with each of the little items that link back to our 150th anniversary website to give you more information. Some of them have videos, some of them have additional photos with them, and so it's a really cool interactive exhibit that people can go see some pieces of Bryant's history.
Wagner says guided history tours are available during October and November's first Fridays. Visit 150.bryantx.gov for more information. More news is online at WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Howdy, y'all. This is Colin Gillespie, former 12th man. I've always tried to help my team on and off the field. And now I'd like to help Texas A&M fans like you cut their electricity bills in half. Yep, in half. It takes less than 5 minutes and you'll save hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars every year. 90% of Texans overpay for electricity, so don't be one of them. Sign up today at EnergyOgre.com and use code GILLY, G-I-L-L-Y, for a free month of service.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Kasasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click HilcoSupply.com. Number 6, Texas A&M football opened up the year with a bang on Saturday, down in Kent State, 41-10 at Kyle Field. The Aggies were aided by 2 big interceptions from safety Leon O'Neal, including an 85-yard pick six in the third quarter. O'Neal gave credit to his blockers, especially number 8, DeMarvin Leal.
I call 8 Medea, by the way. I don't know if y'all know who Medea is. I'm Tyler Perry. But 8 got a big trunk, so I follow 8 behind. I follow that big trunk the whole way. First round, I'm following you. So I seen him, and then out of nowhere, I seen Damani, and I'm like, oh, I must get in the end zone.
Leon had a big night, and so did running back Devon Achane, who finished with 127 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, for more on the weekend, tune into the Liucci Hour tonight from 6 to 7 right here on The Zone. 18th-ranked Aggie soccer dispatched of UTEP yesterday 4-1 at Ellis Field. It marked the 13th consecutive home win for the Maroon and White. Meanwhile, Aggie volleyball opens up its home slate this afternoon against A&M Corpus Christi. First serves at 2 o'clock at Reed. And 16th-ranked men's golf sits in third place following day 1 of the Marquette Intercollegiate. The guys will be back on the links again today at Erin Hills. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Bryan Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual.
Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family.
Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Bryan Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here. Hour number 2. Happy Labor Day to everyone. We appreciate you guys having a good show here. Looking back at Saturday and pretty soon looking forward to the Colorado game. Be my first road trip with the TexAgs staff. Looking forward to that. Great atmosphere Saturday at the game, though, regardless of what you thought about the performance on the field. Anytime you have a performance on the field that equates a 31-point victory, I think we should all be very, very happy about that. There were some issues, and those will be fixed soon enough. There's no doubt about that. But for the most part, I think we should be happy about what we saw out there. You know, you got a 31-point victory with 5 turnovers, a game that was, closer than it should have been at one point, and then it wasn't. And I mentioned, to start off the show, why I wasn't worried. When you see some of the teams around the country and how they started their season. And look, we don't need to compare our story to their story. But what I'm saying is we saw this in college football over the weekend. How good is Florida State? That was a good game to watch last night, but how good are they? Notre Dame struggled with them. How good is Oregon going to be this year? Some people have them as the Pac-12 team to get into the college football playoffs. They struggled with Fresno State, beating them by a touchdown. Iowa State barely gets through Northern Iowa. North Carolina supposed to have a big year. The ACC, goodness gracious, they struggled this weekend. They're supposed to be great. How did things turn out for them? They lose to Virginia Tech. Ohio State has a close game, or at one point close, with Minnesota. Quarterback adjusts, things get better. And then the Oklahoma game, a game that they did nothing in the second half. Barely survived. Barely survived that game. So I bring those all up as this is what's happening in college football. And we are not privy to the game plan. We don't know what Jimbo was coming into. Now, I'm going to take you inside the stream of consciousness going on during a game. Like all of us, in the moment, we're like, what is going on here? Right? But we don't know the game plan because we're trying to win games, and I know Jimbo's trying to win games too, but he's also trying to develop and practice. And, in a situation where the game is tight, of course, the game plan goes out the window. You do what you have to do to survive. But there was never, Jimbo's not thinking about, look, I'm speaking for him, but he's thinking January. He's thinking college football playoffs. What do I need to do to get this team ready for that? And they went and they're going to sling it. And that's exactly what. Could they have run the ball 35 times early on and just been like, let's go. We're going to ride Isaiah Spiller the whole way and A-Chain all the way to a victory. They could have done that. But I think for our viewing and for development, it was great to see what Haynes was doing. Throwing. They are practicing against Kent State. Yes, they're playing a game, but they're practicing, refining their game. There's a player, I saw it on the message boards. I don't know who said it. I think it was the tight end or something. But I guess during the broadcast, one of the sideline reporters said that Andrea Carter, I believe it was, said that they're not that good. Talking about A&M. If you lose by 31 and they're not that good, okay, I don't know what that means. They used Kent State like a practice dummy, practice squad. All right? Practice squad guys routinely bring their best game. And look, we knew that they could sling it, and they didn't do that. Looking at those stats out there, Crum threw for 89 yards. This is an offense that averaged 600 in 4 games, whatever it was. They had 336 total yards, but only 89 of those in the air. Dustin Crum, good quarterback rating, 59.5. I say that to you guys to understand that they were just working through some kinks, right? And they did that. They forced the turnovers, or the big one by Leon, obviously, changed the game without a doubt. But that's where we're at. So instead of overanalyzing what they did this weekend, to me, it's just a sign of the game plan / working things out. And they were able to do that. They were able to go out with a 31-point victory against a team that I think, when it's all said and done, we see what they do in the MAC, they're going to be better than we thought. And the game basically played out the way Liucci said it was going to play. I think it's just, again, I talked about it in the intro of the show, because we compare ourselves to Alabama. Because we feel that this is the year. That's where the frustration set. I mean, Alabama last just against Miami, regardless of what you think about Miami, they just look like they've been doing this forever. And they have, but these are a bunch of new players, and they're just on a different level right now. That's not to say you can't shorten that gap. That's not to say you can't get them here at Kyle Field. That's not to say that A&M is going to be on the up and up on the high. fix those mistakes, move on. Fix those mistakes, this is all good. All right, we're going to get Liucci on here in studio in a moment. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, we're going to do Hey Luch at 9:35. So if you got some questions for Billy, we can do that on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150. You can also call the BCSI Associates hotline, that same number, 979-693-1150. Billy Liucci next on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
You're listening to Aggieland, only all sports station. The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Kasasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Because there's only one you, Vuse Alto is the vape as unique as you are. With Vuse by You, you can make your unique mix with any of 4 colors, 3 flavors, 3 nicotine levels, and infinite wrap designs. So how will you do you? Make Vuse Alto a vape that is yours. In store now. Discover more at Vuse.com. Vuse. Charge beyond. Vapor products. Underage sale prohibited. Website and offers restricted to age 21 and over tobacco consumers.
Bryan Broadcasting is your home for high school football. Bryan High, A&M Consolidated, Rudder, and College Station High play on the Bryan Broadcasting family of stations. No matter where you are, hear every play, every game, all season long. Thanks to A&B, Glenn College, BCS Toyota, and Ed Phillips Plumbing. To find out when and where to hear your favorite team, go to brazosfootball.com.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Presented by Polaris Fund Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country, and Aggieland is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Polaris Fund Center, where you can get a $500 rebate on any 450 or 570 Model A TV, or $2,000 cash back on a Polaris XP1000. Polaris Fund Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC, and you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays from 2 to 4 on the Zone.
I call 8 Medea. By the way, I don't know if y'all know who Medea is. I'm Tyler Perry. But 8 got a big trunk, so I follow 8 behind. I follow 8. I follow that big trunk the whole way. First round, I'm following you. So I seen him, and then out of nowhere, I seen Damani. And I'm like, oh, I must get in the end zone. So, man, yeah, I just followed 8. I was just excited. I was like, oh, man, it's finna happen. So we talk about it all the time. We always joke about pick sixes and touchdowns and stuff like that. So for it to come to tuition is a big milestone for us as a DB group and as a defense.
So much fun to listen to Leon talk. His personality shows up on the field, and now that we're getting to hear him talking these press conferences, it's been a good time. It is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. We're joined by Billy Liucci, executive editor, co-owner of TexAgs. Morning to you, bud. Morning. It's we've hung out a lot recently. Goodness, nonstop content, bro.
I know it is.
It's good,
and it's not stopping because I've got defense to write. It's going crazy.
Yeah, it's but there's a lot to analyze in this game. We spent 45 minutes yesterday on Luchador breaking it down. I did want to get in with you because your column did hit. How do you feel now, 2 nights later, after absorbing the information, going over numbers, stats, and just in working out your thoughts? How do you feel about the performance Saturday night here Monday morning?
I thought it was okay. I mean, I've seen worse from A&M in openers. I saw worse this weekend from teams that were supposed to be good. I saw worse this weekend from a team that's supposed to be great. But they're fortunate they were playing Kent State. And not, look, I'm convinced again after watching it, if they play like that up at Colorado, it's going to be a really tough game. And I'm not acting like Colorado doesn't have issues or that A&M doesn't have more, talent to bring to the field than the Buffs do, and they certainly do. But the Aggies are going to have to make a big week 1 to week 2 jump. But after rewatching the game, I also felt like that's absolutely doable. You just saw mistakes that were game 1 type of mistakes, and I thought Kent State, they're a pretty good team. They're not. I mean, I don't know who they'd beat in the SEC. Obviously, Vandy, but heck, if Kent State would have played Arkansas on Saturday, they'd have beaten them.
Yeah,
the way Arkansas played against Rice, I don't think Louisiana Tech's going to run Kent State out of the stadium. And Louisiana Tech came to missed a field goal on the final play to beat Mississippi State. So it's not. I don't want to overhype them, but I also don't want to, undervalue them. Again, I said yesterday this was the toughest opener A&M's played under Jimbo, which isn't saying much, but it was, and they won 41-10, and it was over 2.5 quarters in. So I don't want to nitpick too much, but what I'm doing today is kind of, when I rewatched it, I'm going, okay, moving forward. And I saw they need to get certain guys back is one thing I felt. And they were undermanned, I don't say significantly, but they were without, 3 starters on defense in Miles Jones, Michael Clemens, and McKinley Jackson. They were without Eric Young. Shamar Turner, I think, will start at some point this season. He might have been without 4 starters and a key backup that gives you some versatility in the secondary. They were playing a defense that they won't normally. For a lot of the game, it was Edgerrin Cooper as the one linebacker, really playing his first. He's played a little last year as a true freshman, but his first start/real action. You had 6 DBs on the field pretty much the entire game, and again, without one of your depth guys. So I think that had a lot to do with defense. And I talked to Marv yesterday, and he was saying they kind of kept him off balance. So maybe that's why I didn't think the defense was as physical as I wanted to see him be up front in the trenches, kind of, blowing things up. I was hoping to see that a little bit more so. And I think Crum's decision-making on the read option and things like that made it difficult. But, David, I didn't see anything. I saw more good than I saw bad. Let's put it that way.
How much of the struggles stopping the run was the fact that they did the 6 DBs and preparing for the pass?
I think that had something to do with it. But and Crum only threw for 100 yards.
I think less, right?
Was it? Yeah, they did a good job against him.
89 yards, 12 of 26, and this guy came in with
Did they
pretty
have
high
100 passing total or something?
Yes,
or
they did.
That
Colin
up? Okay.
Schley threw a couple of passes.
Colin Schley. They're lucky they didn't see more of Schley. It sounds like that guy's
guy could sling
legend
it
in the making. But no, Kent State ran the ball last year too, so it wasn't like I thought they should have been surprised. But I think the Marquez kid was good at running back, and Crum made really good decisions. I watched that, that run again where he took it for like 29 yards or whatever it was. That was a great play. It was kind of like he could have thrown or ran it. He saw a hole open up. I think the linebackers kind of vacated, but then made a great cut instead of taking it straight up the middle to cut back to his right and kind of underneath everything, and that opened that play up to get him. He was a crafty runner and also pretty fast. I thought he was the problem. In my opinion, I thought he was problematic for them and did a good job. But the defense gave up 3 points until a garbage fourth quarter drive the whole game. So, yeah, they bent more than you want them to, but they weren't breaking. And so against an offense that they put up those numbers in 4 games against MAC teams last year. But it's a team that's built around their offense and around their tempo and around spreading you out. They're a team that's built to kind of muddy things up for a bigger style opponent, a Power 5 opponent. They're that type of team.
Right.
They're probably like, God, I wish we could have played a middle of the pack Big Ten team to open the season because they'd have a shot with them. Give them an Indiana, give them a Northwestern, give them, those type teams. Nebraska, they're going to give them a problem and have a chance to win. A&M, they had no chance. Then they really had no chance. But the Aggies kind of played, I think, down to Kent State's level a little bit. That's why you saw drop passes.
Yep.
You saw Haynes with a couple bad decisions that freshmen make. You saw couple overthrow on long balls, not long balls, but downfield shots, let's say. You saw 2 holding penalties wipe out plays, and one of them, I think, cost A&M points, or at least took it from 7 to 3. So there was a lot of things that the Aggies did, particularly on defense as well, but particularly on offense. There were a lot of things where they just kind of shot themselves in the foot. I thought rushed a 3rd and 4th down back-to-back, didn't convert. You wonder if in a big moment in a big game you put Isaiah Spiller back in the game for that particular carry. I feel like on 4th and 1, that's my guy, right?
Right.
The interceptions inside the Kent State 30. So there were a lot of things that the Aggies did. Aniyah Smith drops a pass that he might have scored on, might have had 3 touchdowns yesterday, and made a bad decision to field a punt and fumbled it. We don't see those kind of things. So those are all things that you go, okay, I could see them not doing that in a week against Colorado. And I think they're going to be fine if they get through this one, because then New Mexico at home, and now all of a sudden, by the time you play Arkansas, you're 3 games in going into game 4, and all this good stuff we saw, I think that takes center stage. And you go, wow, that's a pretty damn good football team.
How fair is it to compare A&M to the other top teams out there and how they performed? Because that was kind of one of my thoughts going into this. A&M may have struggled a tad bit and still won by 31, but you're looking at a lot of other top 10 teams that struggled in a way different capacity, some even losing, some down to the wire. Is the comparison fair?
Yeah, I mean, especially like in the case of OU. Like, put Tulane and Kent State out there on the field, okay? I mean, I know people in this part of the country don't respect Kent State or the MAC, but I don't know what Tulane's done other than this past Saturday, and Willie Fritz is really good. But in that part of the country, the Kent State coach thought it was really good. So put those two. OU returned their quarterback, okay? That's the big difference there. He's got a Heisman Trophy favorite at quarterback, and to struggle the way they did, and he threw 2 picks, didn't he? Was it 2 or 3? I know it was 2. Yeah, it was 2. He threw 2 picks, as a return, not as a Heisman Trophy candidate. So, yes, it's fair. If you really want to go apples to apples, though, like even the teams that rolled, you with A&M, you go, they replaced their whole O-line essentially. Even Kenyon's moved, and a quarterback. They weren't going to come out sharp, crisp, firing on all cylinders offense, although they did actually come out that way, and then they kind of hit a lull. But so if you really wanted to compare, you wouldn't be comparing to the couple teams in the top 10 that struggled. Who were they? And LSU looked horrififically bad. They weren't in the top 10,
no,
but
they look bad.
They're a program that was supposed to contend. They were humiliated.
Ohio State struggled a little bit
against Minnesota, though. At Minnesota,
yep.
I would kind of throw. But again, David, why did they struggle? Did you see what C.J. Stroud looked like in the first half of that game?
Exactly.
New quarterback. So now Bryce Young in Alabama didn't, but they're different.
It's a different animal.
I'll throw out DJ Ungalele and Clemson because
very
who
good
they
defense
played.
in Georgia.
Yeah.
And how about this one though? North Carolina also with a quarterback, Sam Heisman, and they lose.
Virginia Tech's not they are not the juggernaut they were in the 90s, but not anything remotely resembling that. So, yeah, they're
Iowa State.
God. So the Big 12.
Yeah, Big 12 basically.
Texas is going undefeated.
They got it.
They're going to run the
They're
damn
back,
table.
baby.
They might because I'm kidding, kind of that league is horrific. Did you see Oklahoma State barely beat Missouri State and Bobby Petrino? I mean, it's pitiful what they're doing in that conference right now. And I'm glad they're blowing it. Actually, they're not blowing it up. They just keep adding. They're like
Houston, come
They're
on.
like Jason from Friday the 13th or Michael Myers. You just can't kill off the Big 12. Their commissioner should start wearing a hockey mask when he does these press conferences.
That'd be great.
Well, seriously, because the BB, Bowlesby, the
Thank God.
Killer Bees have murdered a once proud league. They've murdered it. Voorhees, Michael Myers, just wear a hockey mask or the Halloween mask or whatever because, God, it's ridiculous. But Iowa State, they might just get pummeled. They may as well just hide out in the cornfields next weekend and not play Iowa because they might get worked by Tom Ferentz and the I was going to say Cyclones and the Hawkeyes. So, yeah, you're right, man, and that's Brock Purdy and Breece Hall. So, and again, I go back to Kent State's supposed to be a much better team than in Northern Iowa.
But people around the country aren't going to give us that. They're going to, it's just Kent State.
But people around the country weren't hard on A&M at all. It's been us here local. And we're not even hard on them. We're just sitting there going, okay, it was you know, and Jimbo felt the same way. You could tell after the game. Like, they knew Marv came in here yesterday, Weidemeyer, they knew they could have played better. They weren't bouncing around giddy about the performance by any stretch. None of them. The players in the post. So, and they won 41-10. And it was, what was it? Was it 27-10 midway through the third quarter?
It was done.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. It was 27-3 with about a couple minutes left in the third. It was 20-3 midway through the third quarter, game over. When Leon O'Neal ran behind Marv and Damani and reached that end zone, the game was over, and there was about 8 minutes left in the third. So, yeah, this is the absolute epitome of nitpicking, but it's nitpicking from the standpoint of what do they have to do this weekend to go on the road to Denver and beat a Pac-12 opponent. That's not terrible.
Does the climate, does the altitude at all play into this at all for them?
I think you have to. You have to think it does.
It does sometimes for teams, right?
Yeah, so who knows? And A&M will go up there. The interesting thing is they'll go up there on Thursday.
Get acclimated.
Well, there's two schools of thought. A&M leaves on Thursday for all road games. They didn't last year. And then they went out and won all the games on the road. But then this year they're back to it. And they go up there a day early. Jimbo loves it. The players love it. It's something they did dating back to Florida State. And it seems to they really believe in it. There's two schools of thought on the altitude. Some say just get in there as late as possible, play the game, and get out because you're not going to get acclimated. And then there's some that prefer to get there, a little sooner. So
right, yeah. And we got a bunch of Hey Luch questions that are going to come in here in a moment. We'll do that at 9:35. So heading into this game against Colorado, if you want to overanalyze, there's some things to nitpick. But if you want to look at the positives,
yeah. In other words, the problems Colorado's going to have dealing with A&M?
Yeah, and by the way, I've realized that, and I'm part of the problem. Haynes King, Johnny Manziel comparisons are starting to get to the Houston we have a problem level to where that's what people go to. But I'm watching him, and I'm like, this dude is a playmaker, and I can't help but go back to the way he can extend plays and that zigzag play where it was only 14 yards, but it felt like 50 yards the way he probably did run 50 yards back and forth. That was just a sample, and he didn't run that much in this game.
No, he didn't. I think he had, a run early on for first down. He probably had 2 runs for first downs, maybe 3. But there'll be times where he cuts that up. I think he kept one option keeper. There'll be games where that suddenly he looks and when he gets more comfortable and sees a crease. We saw Ryan Tannehill do that a few years ago, and where he'd pop some long touchdown runs. He's kind of reminds me of like a little in between Tannehill and Johnny.
Yeah,
and that's putting a lot on him too. I don't think he's going to have the kind of season Johnny had. Other than, remember, Johnny would throw some picks now, and I think Haynes is going to throw some picks. I told everyone, Kellen Mond threw 3 interceptions all year last year. This kid's going to throw more. I didn't know he would do it in one game, but he's going to throw more the rest of the year. He's not going to be able to completely eliminate that because he's also taking chances. And he took 2 deep shots to Caleb Chapman. He threw one down the field to an open Isaiah Spiller. That was a tough catch, but it was pretty good throw. Would have been a tough catch. He took a shot to Weidemeyer down the field. So he threw it. He lived in the middle of the field. He had no problem throwing it in there, and sometimes was a little high with it, and that's something that I think he can correct from really one week to the other and just go, man, I can't do that. But yeah, he's going to take shots. He's going to throw it around, and I think he's going to produce a lot of big plays and a lot of touchdowns, like you said. I just think Johnny is so much different, and I see similarity in the way he scrambles. I do. And I'll tell you another thing, David, that I like. He catches that snap, and when it's something to the backs or something quick, he knows what he's doing, catches it, gets rid of the football really quickly. That when you've got guys like Aniyah Smith, A-Chain, Spiller coming out of the backfield, I don't know how many wide receiver screens they do just yet, but when you're quick throwing to those guys, the quicker you can get it and put it on them and let them do what they do, the better. And that's something that stood out to me Saturday night.
All right, let's do this. If you want to get some questions in for Hey Luch, you can do that, 979-693-1150, the A&B text line. You can also call the BCSI Associates hotline, that number also, 979-693-1150. We'll take some questions. We'll continue to break down the game here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers, as we just continue to roll through a Monday morning Labor Day here on The Zone and obviously on TexAgs.com. But right now, I want you guys to text 900-900 text radio to 900-900. I'm all over the place for your chance to win the Big Friday giveaway, courtesy of our friends at Aggieland Outfitters. And this week, guys, they got to me the maroon Sawmoff Richardson mesh hat. Look at this. Sawmoff. I like it. I could definitely see Steve McKinney wearing this one. I could probably see Luch wearing it. It's a beautiful hat. Maroon in the front. You got the white logo, the white Sawmoff image stitched on the maroon background to show off the hate for the little school in Austin. Breathable cap, mesh back with a plastic strap so it can be adjusted almost any size. You can wear this to any game, obviously, but this is just a really, really nice hat. Thanks to our friends at Aggieland Outfitters. And also, Quattro Ranch is back. They got, this time, the dried honey pot. We'll start with a crunch, but melt in your mouth. The perfect healthy snack for any Aggie out there. The exclusive Sawmoff hat, valued at $24.99. You go check it out. It is Aggieland Outfitters.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. The Brazos Valley Council of Governments announces an Alzheimer's Dementia Caregiver Support Series running through September 14th. Classes are free. Find more information online at bvcog.org. The Elizabeth House Maternity Home Annual Banquet is Thursday, September 16th at the Ice House on Main. Find more at elizabethhousematernityhome.com. The Brazos Valley Beekeepers Association invites you to their one-day bee school on Saturday, September 25th. Visit bvbeaks.org for more information. Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Brazos Valley is seeking adult volunteers. Go online to bbbsbrazos.com. You can hear the Aggies beat the hell out of Colorado this Saturday starting at 1:30 right here on Sports Radio 1150 and 93.7 FM. Online, you can hear the game at radioaggieland.com. And if you have a smart speaker, just say Play Zone 1150. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Does your bank know your first name? At Normandy State Bank, they do. Normandy State Bank is locally owned, controlled, and operated. This local personal touch means banking decisions are made on site the same day you request it. Normandy State makes banking easy. They're open Saturdays, offer state-of-the-art online banking, bill paying, fund transfers, check and statement images. Normandy State, where customer service is their priority. Normandy State Bank, rock solid. Member FDIC.
Howdy, y'all. This is Cullen Gillespie, former 12th man. I've always tried to help my team on and off the field. And now I'd like to help Texas A&M fans like you cut their electricity bills in half. Yep, in half. It takes less than 5 minutes and you'll save hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars every year. 90% of Texans overpay for electricity, so don't be one of them. Sign up today at energyogre.com and use code GILLY, G-I-L-L-Y, for a free month of service.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our Aggie broadcast sponsors, Lance Lester at the Lester Group, Zwerneman Flooring, and the Sleep Station. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on the Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Listening to The Zone on your Amazon Dot or Echo is easy. Even Louie figured it out. 2 simple steps, and you can hear Chip Howard Sports Talk, TexAgs Radio, The Louie Bellina Show, and many of your favorite A&M teams anytime, anywhere with your special friend, Alexa. Step 1, and only one time, say, Alexa, enable Zone 1150 skill. Then anytime you want to hear your favorite host or team